Bar staff of Reddit. Have you ever had a man use the Safeword drink? Escape. And how often does it happen? I used to work in a bar in Orlando, and one Friday night were pretty heavy and have a guy, regular, and a lady on a date at the bar, and it looks pretty well until he asks for 2 stomach shots, aka. Please help me. I really don't want to be here with them, and he excuses himself as our manager calls him a taxi cab and explain to the lady, and she gets mad and tries to leave, saying that a man should pay for the bill no matter what. A man should pay for the bill no matter what. Lol. Here one from Eindhoven, Netherlands. I was working for a smaller bar with a mixed crowd. For both men and women we had Safa drinks, women, virgin tequila, men, virgin vodka. In total I saw these ordered 2 times. The one that sticks with me the most was for Christmas Eve. This night we had mostly gay guys hanging around in the bar and some students. After a while of the students, got a lot of attention of one of the gay guys, GG, hand on leg. A lot of too personal questions. Touching, and told he was straight and not interested. This got the bartender that overheard this on alert, and he put a napkin on the bar near where he was sitting with a red exclamation mark. So all staff knew something was up. S goes to toilet and GG orders a round of vodka shots. Bartender didn't see S, so poured the order and placed it on the bar. S comes back and GG tells him to help him empty the glasses. S starts drinking and suddenly looks very pale and sweaty. As soon as the vodka is done, GG smiles and walks to toilet. S looks worse by the second and asks for virgin vodka. At this moment 2 of the bartenders get him to one of the other bars owned by my boss and call an ambulance. The rest of the crew created a diversion for GG as soon as he came from the toilet, telling him S left for a phone call. Ambulance noticed S seemed to be dogged. GG was drinking something else by then, watered down Sikh tales without him even noticing, and we alerted the police, who found 4 tubes of GHB on him. In the end GG was arrested and S rushed to hospital. Not quite the same, but I worked in a coffee shop on a busy high street this year and had a similar sort of thing happen. We noticed one customer had come in, ordered, and sat opposite the counter, which meant that he was staring at me and my other female colleagues for about 30 minutes straight. We wondered if he was high, as he didn't seem aware of himself, but his gaze was following me as I walked up and down the counter, which was about 8 m long. We then closed and the customers sitting inside left, including a very nice young couple who walked up the street away from the shop, as did the weird guy. About 10 minutes later, the couple came back to the door, which we had locked, and knocked, saying they'd left their phone behind. They came in and told us that the man had followed them for 10 minutes towards their home, so they came back to hide. I work in small Sikh tail bars in Sydney, Australia. Prime date night joints. We have something called Ask for Angela, where the idea is you just ask the bar staff if Angela is working tonight, and that'll be the hint to keep an eye on things or even call a cab. I've only had one customer, man or woman, ever use it. A nice younger guy on a date with an older gentleman. The issue was threefold. A venue at the time had quite a few backpackers on working holidays that were completely unaware of this protocol. We had a lovely Chinese girl who went by Angela working that night, and that the date was going poorly in such a fashion that to the untrained eye, it looked like 2 work acquaintances having a drink. There was that little chemistry between them. Apparently the older gentleman followed the younger in the bathroom and copped a feel, prompting the ask for Angela. It was a huge runaround, to be honest. It took quite a while for a native English speaker to tune into the argument behind the bar, where Angela was explaining that she had no idea who this guy was. So eventually he got some help. He ordered 2 drinks at the bar, asked if Angela was working tonight, saying she made them the best. We ended up ordering an Uber for him while he feigned an emergency, and brought their drinks out in time that the older bloke sort of felt obligated to stay and finish them, just as his Uber arrived. Unfortunately, a lot of bars have joined the Ask for Angela campaign. It's government sponsored. Posted the signs in their ladies' rooms, and called it a day. No staff training. This is because it puts you on a government list of safe bars and, well, nobody can give up free publicity. Very disappointing. I also believe it needs to better extend to men on poor dates as well. I rarely see the posters in men's rooms. Just Eunice and ladies. I had a woman at a bar on business one night. She came up to me after about 20 minutes after I sat down alone. I was having a rough day. She apparently was having a great one. Sitting there drinking my beer. She kept talking to me, grabbing me, and kept asking for us to leave because she would F my brains out. Mind you, this woman was an obvious regular barfly and had been overserved. At one point, I got up and pretended my Asian buddy across the way, actually a stranger, was my best friend. She eventually made her way over and kept touching me. I asked the bartender if she could help me. She actually pretended to be a friend of mine also. Said I was a part owner of the establishment. Brought me into the office and let me sit there with her and the guy in the office. They gave me free food. Let me finish my drink. Had a good conversation. And some to-go food too. They felt terrible that a new guy had all these problems, I guess. But they treated me well and got me out of there unscathed. I can still see her whacked out hairstyle and the cigarette smoke that she stank of. Cool of the bartender to do that. Yep. I work in a nightclub in a small town in England in Lincolnshire, and I once had a guy who seemed to only recently turn 18 ask if Angela was working. I brought him into the glass washroom and turns out there were a bunch of lasses encouraging this one lass into seducing him. Grinding up on him. Trying to kiss him and groping him. This apparently continued even after the man had walked away into other parts of the nightclub after showing and saying he wasn't interested. I had reported this to my supervisor, who was a little hesitant at first but eventually called the bouncers into the back room too. We explained the situation to them. Now these guys are basically 200 minus 300 pound tanks who you would expect to joke about this and tell this guy to man up and enjoy it, but to my surprise, they took it seriously as well. They managed to track down this group, 5 women including the one who was doing the grinding, and they escorted all of them out of the building. Meanwhile, a taxi had already been prepared by my supervisor and the taxi firm was literally down the road, so it didn't take long for it to arrive, and I escorted the man through the back stairs that continues down to the stock cellar but leads off to the side exit of the building near the bins where the taxi was waiting. It would be a rare occasion when someone uses Ask Angela where I work. Let alone a man, so I'm really glad that all of the staff took it seriously and helped as much as they could. Only had one incident of a man using Ask for Angela, UK Safeword scheme. Gay kid on a bad date. His date had been extremely overbearing and even having to witness it from the bar was extremely uncomfortable. We smuggled him into the kitchen and out the side door while his date went to the bathroom and called him a taxi. Date came back from the bathroom. Asked where the kid was. I just went dunno. Date started getting aggro with me. So supervisor ended up throwing this guy out by the collar. It honestly doesn't get used enough. By either men or women. Especially here in the UK. It absolutely sucks. Especially when you as a bartender can't really legally do much, or you risk not only your job, but the bar's reputation. I haven't done it personally. But a friend had it happen to him who is a bartender. He was finishing up his shift when a man walks up to him. Asking for a Safeword drink and said he wanted it on the rocks. Friend just said yeah, sure, and helped him to the taxi. Just as the man got in the taxi, the woman he had been there with came running out towards the taxi and yelled profanities. Calling the man she had been with effing white trash and he'll never amount to anything and some sh like that. Last I heard, she was banned from that bar, and several others, while the man who got help became a bit of a regular. Not an angel shot, but last week I had to meet my abusive ex-wife to talk about something to do with our kids. I'm a male. I insisted that we meet in public, so she agreed to meet at Chili's. Throughout the meal, she was mean and hateful and cruel to me, but she was quiet about it. I wasn't crying or anything. She was just being threatening and quiet to me. At a point during the lunch, our waiter positioned himself behind her and mouthed these words to me. "Are you okay?" I sort of shook my head no, because I was afraid of leaving when the time came. We paid the check and got up to leave, and the manager appeared with the waiter. The manager stood between my ex and me and told her, politely, that she needed to leave on her own. Before she could become belligerent, the manager explained that he had called the police and that she needed to leave. He then asked me, quietly, to just sit down and wait. They brought me another soda. The cops showed up quickly and made sure my ex had left. They walked me to my car and then followed me home to make sure I was okay. Not an angel shot. But these workers were angels to me. They paid attention to a terrifying situation and helped me more than they will ever know. I have been in a scenario like this. I was a busboy at a local pizza bar. So I just started my shift and I'm clearing a table and everything, and I notice a table where a female is being extremely loud and abrasive. I walk back to the dish room and the guy knocks his drink over, so I go to get it. He hands me a napkin and pretends to help me. So I go back into the kitchen and it just says call 911. So I tell my manager and he does so. So I told his waitress to bring him another drink and to say don't worry about the drink, accidents happen. She is getting worse and worse and we all can hear her saying that if he tries to leave her she would off herself. So about 12 minutes later some cops show up. The guy's in tears when they show up. He runs to the bathroom and my boss points at the table and they take her out to the restaurant. This is where she got wild. She begins to take her clothes off one by one to avoid being escorted out of the restaurant. So here we are during dinner rush, a naked crazy person stripping down, running around tables screaming about her boyfriend. She got to the point where she was grabbing silverware and throwing at the cops, and they did tackle her and put her in cuffs, drag her naked out to the car. The poor boyfriend is in tears in the bathroom. I go check on him and tell him what happened and he apologized. I was like, dude, what caused all of this? He said we met on POF and this was our first date. I had no clue what to do. Now that is worst day of my life. Honorable. I feel bad for the dude. Trying to find love but you end up crying in a restaurant because the girl you liked goes apesh in a public place getting tackled down by cops. I had one really bad date that stands out. I knew the bartenders because I was a regular. She was from out of town. 20 minutes away. Not far. And when I met her a few things stood out. First off, she was nothing like her OkCupid profile. Common thing I've learned over the years. For everyone. Second, she kept talking. Like. IDK. Saying weird stuff and using weird words like it's all okay. When I die I'm going to leave, I ask up to God, and she kept using words that have no relevance to English to describe the act of dying or being dead. I've dated religious people. Wiccans. All kinds of stuff. But I've never found another psychological specimen quite like this one. The thing that really broke the camel's back was when she took the tomato off her burger and effing threw it on the floor. Saying that all vegetables taste like dirt was what got me. I asked Chuck, my bartender, if he could distract her. And he did. I left a 100 and promptly left. The bar staff got a $40 tip and they never forgot that. To this day they still make me good drinks and cut me good deals. Love them all. That girl probably tasted like dirt. And her personality belonged next to that tomato. On the floor. If a security guy counts as bar staff. Was in a nightclub. Working instead of a friend who had an exams next day. I took his 2 shifts since I had whole week free. There was a date where the guy was definitely afraid of a girl. Asked for permission to engage and decided to calm down. I took the man to our security booth where you have camera control. Who was literally shaking out of fear. I had him calm down. Paid for cold soda myself and gave one to the guy, and I drank one myself. Instead of cigarettes, I hate smoking. After it. And nice talk. Turned out he was a businessman. I called him a taxi. Wanted to give me equivalent of $300. I said no, it's my job, but he insisted. Damn it, salad, when you paycheck equals 800 USDs. Taxi arrived and took that guy to his home. He thanked me once again and gave me his number. Sadly I don't have it anymore. But still, nice thing to happen.